Alright, we're back. So the first video, we basically defined the enable brewing script and how that works and what exactly we use that for. So now that we've enabled that and we've came back over to our brew script, which I stopped just in case we want to modify some stuff, how it's laid out is I always put anything that I need a reminder of on top, and I use the forward slashes to basically designate that, because then the script will skip that. So I always tell myself the last time I uploaded the script what I fixed and what I need to verify for the next time. So I took off War Recovery from Mass Flow Meter and went to a volume amount. So that tells me that when I get to that point in the brewing process, I'll just want to verify that. Added some auto brew settings, tweaked purge settings, and verify. So these are just little notes for myself to remember for the next brew session, just to check. One of the big questions is what are values and how do you define those? So first of all, you always need to, if you need to control a volume or value, you need to define what that is. So the first step in the designation of the value or the timer or whatever you want to do, whether it be a status indicator or whatever, is you got to put a name to it. And much like everything else, it's got to be a unique name. So you'll see that every time I define a value, it's going to have a new unique name, and then that's the name of the value. But you also have to define the value of the value. So that's down a little further. So you'll see that my first line was Sauergut dose. So I defined the name of the value. So now I need to define the value of the name. So Sauergut dose equals 300. Now, that's in milliliters for me. Let me take the lock off. That's in milliliters for me. Your default value could easily be 0. It doesn't matter. That is just the default size. I mean, these could all be zeros. However, the bulk of my batches use these values, so I just go with those as the default because 7 times out of 10, I don't have to change them. So, but you can define them as whatever you'd like. So, but everything you define up here has to have a value down here. So we got our mash step, temperatures and times. We know from before our strings are different visual indicators with text. So every place you see the dashes here, text can appear. There's some here, there's some here, there's some here, and everywhere you define it, you can place it wherever you'd like. So once we get through into the script, you'll see that this will say, when it gets to that time, it'll say purging lines, or purging herms, or whatever it may be, or purging kettle, or purging grain. So we need to define those, and once we actually define those, then we can create an element, a variable element that displays this. So let's just do that so we understand how that works. So let's just make up a new value. So we'll do new value, and we'll name it demo. So we named it demo. So we define the name now. Now we got to go down and define the actual value. So demo, which we just created, equal 17. Okay. So once we created that, now we can go to this page, which holds all our different variables, and we can create a variable. Now we'll name it demo, and we'll say we got user control. So the script that variable is in brew, and the variable name was demo. So now we have, we'll just move it here, now we have a way to view the valuable demo and change it if we need to. But that script has to be running. So let's run the script. So we started the script. Oops. We started the script. And here's our demo. So what if we want demo to be 10? All we have to do is change it here. So this gives you an interactive way for your script and you to change variables on the fly. Remember, we changed our sauergut to 0. Now we just changed it to 300. And so the way I break this all out is, I'll go to lock so you can see the full. Anything that's a variable in the brewing system for me is right here. The main ones are my dose, my batch size, strike, hot liquor tank volumes, sparge volumes, refills, mash volumes, pre-boils, knockout temps, and all that stuff. All that stuff is defined here, along with my hop additions. And once again, this is actually the hop statements. Anything with a toggle is an if statement for me. So if this is selected, the first hop time by default is 50. But let's say I want that at 70. Oops. Oh, yeah, so my bad. Let's say we want that at, it can't be 70 because 60 is the biggest value. Let's say we want it at 45. And we can just switch this on the fly to whatever we want. Let's say 55. Doesn't matter. And so once we define that value, we can always change the value, but you have to define it. So I think we'll stop right there before we actually prep and start for the brew. I think that's a good spot to stop and have the values discussed, and we'll pick back up.